Okay, everybody, Unit 2, Energy Transformations in Simple Machines. First section, different types of energy. First, light. Light is made when electrons jump from one energy level to another. When they come back, they emit a little burst of energy that we call light. Next, nuclear energy. Energy that keeps the nucleus together. Uh, Very strong, like a nuclear bomb. Next, chemical energy is energy that's in between two atoms and it keeps the atom bonded together. A chemical bond, if you break it, you release the chemical energy. It's stored in there. Heat energy is energy of jiggling atoms. They jiggle, jiggle, and the more they jiggle, the more heat there is. Electrical energy made when the electrons jump from one atom to another atom. A little different than light when it just jumps within an atom. Next. Kinetic energy is energy of movement. Anything that moves has kinetic energy. Potential energy is stored energy that can be turned into other energies, such as gravitational potential energy. If you jump down, you turn that height into kinetic. Elastic potential energy, where you turn the stretch into kinetic. There's two. Oh, I don't know why. Sound energy, which we didn't really focus on all that much. Mechanical moving energy that goes through something. 2-2. Different types of energy transformations. An energy transformation is when it turns from one energy into another. For example, a TV can turn from electricity into light and sound. Just make sure that you have an energy it starts with and an energy it ends up with. These are all types of energy conversions. A special type of energy conversion can be a potential turning into kinetic. Up here she has potential, but as she falls, the potential energy turns into kinetic energy. By the time she hits the ground, all of her potential is turned into kinetic, and she's going as fast as she can. As this person comes down, potential is turning into kinetic, but as he goes back up, kinetic is turning back into potential. Next. The relationship between force, distance, and work. Understand that J is joules of work, N is newtons of force, and M is meters of distance. Understand that when force, let's say, stays the same and distance changes, know that work changes the same way. Know that if work stays the same and force changes, distance will change the opposite way. The same goes with if you keep work the same and distance goes up and down, the force will go up and down with it. Section 2.5. Understand how to... Why are there so many? All right. Continued. Keep going. Section 2.5. Understand how to multiply. Work equals force times distance, not anything else. Section 2.6. Know that friction always works against motion. It always increases the work because it increases the force it takes to do something. Mechanical advantage is when you use the same amount of work but less force over a longer distance. You can do that by using a simple machine, like, let's say, an inclined plane, or, let's say, like a lever, which would be like a car jack. Understand when you have good mechanical advantage and bad mechanical advantage. Over here, it would be bad because your distance is less than the object's. Here, it's good because your distance is more. An inclined plane always gives you good mechanical advantage. In fact, the flatter it is, the better the mechanical advantage. Real life examples. Here's an inclined plane, a ramp, and a screw. A pulley can be found on, let's say, a tow truck or a crane. A lever, there's three kinds of levers. One with the fulcrum in the middle, like a seesaw. One with the load, the object in the middle, like a wheelbarrow, or crowbar, or a nutcracker. Or one with the U in the middle, in between. You have bad mechanical advantage in this one, but you do have good speed. Catapults, fishing poles, and arm muscles are an example of them. Yeah, skip. Cells. Know the parts of the animal cell? All of these? Know how they work together. And we'll go back to that actually. Understand especially this stuff. When food enters, it goes and gets stored in the vacuole, broken down in the lysosome. Sugars get used in the mitochondria and the glucose, and then the proteins, the amino acids, get used to make proteins in the lysosome. Know the difference between plant, animal, and bacterial cells. You can see them right here. A little funky there. Know that DNA is shaped like a spiral staircase. DNA, many make up a gene, and many genes strung together make up a chromosome. Understand that the gene is the recipe for one protein, and that that recipe has to travel via a messenger from the nucleus out to the ribosome where a protein can be made. Osmosis is a special type of diffusion where only water is allowed to go through a membrane, let's say. Water always goes from greater concentration to lesser concentration. So wherever water is less concentrated, that's where it will go. Where there's more stuff, less concentration. So water will go in this situation, and it will go out in the next situation. Oops. 3.7. Know that no cell respiration. Cell respiration, glucose plus oxygen makes carbon dioxide, water, and usable energy. The usable energy is the energy that all cells need. All cells do cell respiration. Cell respiration is the opposite of photosynthesis. What photosynthesis makes, cell respiration needs. And what cell respiration makes, photosynthesis needs. No different types of cells. Sperm cells and sperm cells and why they're differently structured so that they do different functions. For example, the sperm cell has a tail so it can swim to find an egg. This egg is huge so that because it has enough nutrients for the first several cells to grow. A red blood cell is flexible in the middle so it can get through capillaries. A nerve cell is long so it can send messages fast. It has hairs that connect to other cells, and this muscle cell is long but it can get shorter so that your body can move. Okay, there's another one for no good reason. Mitosis and meiosis. Understand them. Know that mitosis is copy split, meiosis is copy split split, and know the details behind them. Functions of the human body. Unit 4, human body. Cells make tissues, tissues make organs, organs make organ systems, and organ systems make organisms. Know all those little rules for knowing if something's a tissue or an organ. If it has a name, that can be said with the, it's probably an organ. If it says system, it's an organ system. If it says cell, it's a cell. And if it's a living thing, it's an organism. Bone is made of compact bone and spongy bone inside with the marrow that stores energy and also creates red and white blood cells. Hard and spongy. Tendons connect muscle to bone so that when the muscle moves, it moves the bone. Ligaments connect bone to bone so that the joints stay nice and tight and close and work well together. A joint is where two bones come together. Cartilage is in joints as well. It coats the bones and it absorbs shock, makes the joints slippery, and protects the ends of the bones from each other. A couple of joint types, ball and socket like in your shoulder or hip, and a hinge joint like in your elbow or knee. You breathe, the air goes down the trachea into your lungs where it ends up in an alveolus. Many alveoli have capillaries going around them. The capillaries bring blood cells that give carbon dioxide to the alveolus and take the oxygen from the alveolus. They leave having oxygen, and in the meantime you breathe out the carbon dioxide. Your blood brings that oxygen to the tissue cells. There, the tissue cell will the tissue cell will take the oxygen from the red blood cell, and the red blood cell will take the carbon dioxide and return to the lungs. Here it comes to the lungs. Then it will get oxygen, give carbon dioxide to the lungs, come back with oxygen to the heart, and get pumped to the body, and keeps going back and forth from there. Know that these are atria on the top. blood enters through the atrium, and blood leaves the heart through the ventricles, gets pumped out in an artery from the ventricle. Know that veins bring blood back to the heart as well. Understand this situation here. Know that when arteries connect to veins, they're connected via the capillaries that are right in the middle, where the lungs are and where the body are. Capillaries allow things to enter and leave the blood. Know this figure 8 shape. The digestive system. You eat food, it goes down the esophagus and into the stomach. You chew food, that physically breaks it down. Your saliva chemically breaks down starches into sugars. Inside your stomach, acid and enzymes start to break down the food further, especially proteins. There's also churning, which physically breaks down the food. The soupy food goes into the small intestine. Once in the small intestine, your gallbladder shoots bile, which breaks down the fats and stops the stomach acid. The pancreatic juices shoot out the pancreas shoots out pancreatic juices that finish breaking down proteins and sugars. That food is now ready to be absorbed, and here's where it gets absorbed, in the small intestine. The villi of the small intestine absorb the nutrients. Each villus has a little web of capillaries. When the food comes in, it gets into the capillaries. Now it's in the blood, it can go to where it's needed. Done that? Done that? Know a little bit about a nervous system, which is the way the body uses to communicate with itself. It does it via nerves. The brain sends and receives messages. The endocrine system is how the nervous system is controlled or influenced. You have various glands that do that all throughout the body that make hormones that control the nervous system and influence it. The immune system keeps the amount of things in your body that make you sick to a manageable level. Different special cells and organs make chemicals and cells that do that. And plate tectonics. Know that the core, the mantle, and the crust are 3 layers. Core is on the inside, then the mantle, then the crust. The core is made of iron and other metals. The mantle is made of molten rock, and the crust is made of hard, solid rock. Cool rock. Magma that's in the mantle, when it heats up, it rises. It goes to the crust of the earth. When it gets up here, it has nowhere to go but out to the sides like a fountain. Once it cools off, it comes back into the ground, into the center of the earth like a sink, like a drain. Those patterns of fountains and drains pull plates apart and together. When plates are pulled apart because the magma is going up and out, that can make a volcano. When plates are moving together, we call that convergence, by the way, when they're moving together, and divergence when they're moving apart. But when plates are moving together, they can cause earthquakes, they can cause mountains, and things like that. And they're done because the magma is moving in and down. Transform plates move side to side from each other. Folds and faults. Folds are made when plates slowly are pushed against each other, causing them to bend. Faults are made when plates are pushed against each other hard, causing them to snap or break. Know the difference between folds and faults. Plate boundaries. Wherever you see active volcanoes and active volcanoes and earthquakes, you can be pretty sure that that's exactly where plate boundaries are. I just talked about that. Oh, notice some names of plates. Arabian plate, where Arabia is. African plate, Africa. North American, South American plate. Eurasian plate. Indo-Australian plate. Well, you don't have to know that one. But the Pacific plate, you got to know. That's around the Pacific Ocean. That's a blank page for no good reason. Okay, I'm going to... know the difference between a constructive force and a destructive force. Constructive forces make things that weren't there before. Destructive forces take away things that were there before. Valleys used to have land there, but they've been taken away. Horns used to be mountains, but you've taken away the sides. That's a destructive force. But a mountain wasn't there before. It was constructed. Skip 5-7. 5-8. Know the difference, know what weathering, erosion, and deposition is, and the difference. Weathering breaks down rock into sediment. Erosion is when it's taken away, and a deposition is where it's put somewhere.